So this video hasn't been planned in the slightest, so let's see how this goes. There is also no lighting, so you're going to be seeing me at my natural, well, everything else is at its natural. So this ought to be interesting. Let's see how this goes. So we've just been out doing a workshop at a retirement village here in Perth, and we've gone past Pinnaroo Cemetery, or rather Pinnaroo Memorial Park. And I thought I'd show you what a natural burial site looks like. We have one here at Pinnaroo and we have one in Fremantle. We do have a few for our Indigenous folk as well. But I thought I'd show you the one here at Pinnaroo, and also a different version of what a cemetery can be like. So let's have a look. So the idea of Pinnaroo was that we have so much cremation nowadays, and not everyone wants to keep their cremains at home or sprinkle them. They want to have somewhere to remember them, much like a natural grave, a normal traditional gravesite. So this is why this was created. You can put the cremains in the ground, you have your plaque, you have somewhere to go to remember your loved one. Because not everyone wants to just forget. I know some people think cemeteries are a waste of space, but there's a very good reason why they exist and continue to exist. For a lot of people, having somewhere specific, knowing where your loved one is a big deal. So that's what this place is for. It's also a hark back to the times when cemeteries were parklands. They were places where people gathered. They were multi-purpose places, not just for burying the dead. You come here to have family time, you come here for a picnic, you come here to relax. It's just like a parkland would be. We have parks like this, minus the memorial part, everywhere around WA. We have parks that look exactly like this, and that's why Pinnaroo was created. And it's why it continues to be one of the more loved ones here. So Pinnaroo was created in the 70s originally. The first cremains put in the ground here were in the 70s. It has its own crematorium. It has almost 4 chapels now. So there are cemeteries coming in all the time. There are, you see hearses coming in. People go and have their funeral at the chapels, and the body goes straight to the crematorium, and then it goes straight to one of these markers. So it's a pretty good system. It cuts out a lot of the middleman, which is nice, and it's a very large area. It's a very pleasant area to be around. So the markers around here are usually memorial markers only. They don't usually have, specifically these ones here, they don't have cremains underneath. These are just memorials. Their cremains may have been scattered, they may be from a different country, it could be anything really, but that's what these ones here are for. For non-Aussies, in case you're wondering what our wildlife looks like around here, let me show you. Here are kangaroos, which also happen to be the state animal for us. I'm not going to go too close. Across the road. And that's these guys. These are grey kangaroos, not red kangaroos, so they're perfectly harmless. They just like to lie around. If you are wondering, red kangaroos are the big muscular ones. Don't go near them. But these are our lovely population of kangaroos over here. Look, there's a joey. Not a young joey, but he's a joey. Just chilling. So this is one of the newer areas that's been open. They've all been freshly cut in, as you can see. The grass will grow back and it'll look a lot more natural. Got no chairs over here. A lot of flowers. There's not allowed any tombstones here at all. It's supposed to look as natural as possible. You see over here, we have more of our little friends. We're not going to go too close. It's a good thing I've got a zoom camera. I've got the big male over here, keeping an eye on things. We We have a very large kangaroo population at Pinnaroo. It's one of the great things about this place is that it gives them somewhere to go. And there are large mobs of kangaroos, mob being the plural term for kangaroos. There are large mobs. We've seen about 8 of these large groups around here since we've been here. Problem with kangaroos. There is kangaroo poo everywhere, and ticks are a major problem if you come here. Always check yourself for ticks. Oh. Joining the family. Oh, there goes a baby. They have just come from over this side, I believe. So we're just heading up to the natural burial area now. It is quite hard to find, and it is up the back. There's a good reason for that. They don't want people just traipsing through and being curious. But as we can see, this is a very large bushland area. Most of Australia is bushland, especially in WA. Your natural burial ground will be whatever landscape is normal for your area. Okay, I'm going to flip the camera to the other side now and show you something else. So over here we have a grave that's just been dug. This is in the natural burial area. They still have to dig it up the normal way. It's not just done by hand. So as you can see, this is the natural burial area. And while it is a bit more sparse than what normal bushland would be, you still need to dig a hole, and it takes time for that bushland to come back to that hole. But it will eventually, and eventually this place will be just as dense as what it was before. This is what a lot of WA looked like when it was being developed back in the 90s in the area that I live. As we were saying about burial, this is where someone else has been buried recently. But again, the sand and the bushland will all come back. Bushland is very fast growing as well. Fire is what keeps it going. So there is a good chance this place will burn and then replenish itself really quickly. Over here we have where another one's been buried. Sorry, another one's being dug for burial. Keeping it open until they need to bury. Magpie! One of our much loved birds. So these are the buildings. There's chapels, a crematorium. There are funerals going on at the moment, so we're going to be quiet. This is all put in one area of Pinnaroo, and the idea is that you all come together. There are lounges, there are areas that you can sit and actually mourn, whereas a lot of places nowadays you go to one area and they want you out within half an hour. So this place is designed for you to be able to sit and actually grieve. Nice. So this was the first area that they started using, and that's near the main road. You can see the main road going on back there. Pretty much all of this is full nowadays. There's still a bit more space, but all of these flowers that you see, all these plaques where someone's cremains or someone's memorial is. You can see all the bushland in the background. There's a couple of needed hedges. You can see a few hedges over there that aren't part of the natural woodlands, but a lot of this is natural bushland. And if I can, I'll go and show you what the middle of being in the middle of the bush of Australia looks like. In case you're wondering why there are artificial flowers instead of real ones and you're worried about the wildlife, which I totally get, there is a good reason for that. Originally, we used to be able to put real flowers here as part of your memorial. But the kangaroos like to have a bit of a nibble, and it was making them sick. So now you're only allowed artificial ones, which the kangaroos have worked out don't taste so brilliantly, and now they're not getting sick. So while yes, that part's not as natural, and this place is kept really clean. People keep an eye on it, especially when there's a storm coming in and they may be ripped out by the weather. Yeah, don't worry, they're all over it. Pinnaroo is the only memorial park, as that's what it's titled. Other cemeteries, you can do things like this. They have columbariums, which is effectively a big building structure where you can put the cremains in. But here at Pinnaroo, it's a bit different. We like to do it a bit more natural, laid out a little bit more like a traditional cemetery where you can go and visit your loved one and you're not staring at a wall. This just gives it a bit more of a peaceful vibe, like your loved ones are just a bit more peaceful and not crammed into a hole. So we have multiple cemeteries here in Perth run by the Perth Metropolitan Cemeteries Board. All our cemeteries here in WA are public as opposed to over east. Some of them are private as well. And they all run this. This one's a much easier thing to run, especially environmentally. It's a lot easier to maintain than say Karrakatta, which is supposed to be, it's all grassed up area. You may have noticed I keep looking down at the ground. It's covered in kangaroo dung. There's a lot of kangaroos, as you saw before. It's also a very hilly area. They've kept it in the natural terrain, the natural layout of the terrain, so it's not flat like a lot of other cemeteries are. And when you're wearing boots and a long skirt, this isn't exactly the easiest thing to do. Now, the main reason I know about this place and the reason that I decided to come here is I do have family buried here. On my father's side, I've got 3 family members that are all here together. So as a kid, we came down here when it was sort of quite new. People weren't doing as much cremation as they are today. So I've been coming here for probably about 2 decades now. And I've seen it grow, and I've seen it expand, and I've seen people take on the idea more than traditional burial. But I think the thing to know is that while cemeteries may seem like dead land, they can be more than that. They can be modernized, they can be changed. This is still a cemetery. This place is still for the dead as well as the living. And this is a vibrant place. This is something that we can continue long term. So I don't agree with people that say cemeteries shouldn't exist. People need places to mourn. People need to know where their loved ones are. It's a big part of being a human being and understanding death and mortality. And I think this is a way to do that in an age where cremation is at its peak. And I've just realized I've backed myself into a corner. I don't know how to get to the other side of this pond. Shit.